Have you ever heard the famous line from Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. that people should be judged not by the color of their skin, but by the content of their character? Of course you have. It's one of the most powerful statements of the 20th century. But what if I told you that this profound idea didn't just appear out of nowhere? What if its roots go back more than a century earlier to a man born into slavery who became one of the first American missionaries to Africa? Today, we're diving deep into the incredible story of Reverend Lott Carey, a foundational figure whose life and philosophy built a bridge between continents and anticipated the very ideals that would later define the civil rights movement. This is a story of faith, freedom, and a legacy that connects the struggles of African Americans in Virginia to the birth of a nation in West Africa. Let's travel back to 1780 Virginia. Lott Carey was born enslaved. The world he entered was designed to crush his spirit and deny his humanity. But Cary possessed an unbreakable will. Through sheer hard work and determination, he managed to purchase his own freedom and the freedom of his family. He didn't stop there. He taught himself to read and write, a radical act for a black man at the time. And his deep faith led him to become a respected Baptist minister. But Lott Carey's vision extended far beyond the shores of America. He was a key figure in the American Colonization Society, a complex movement that aimed to resettle free African Americans in Africa. For Cary, this wasn't about escaping America. It was about building a new society founded on principles of black self-determination, faith, and dignity. In 1822, he set sail for the coast of West Africa, to a place that would come to be known as Liberia. Before he left, Cary delivered a sermon that would echo through history. While we don't have a word-for-word transcript like a modern speech, historical accounts from those who were there are consistent on one powerful point. Cary argued that a person's true worth should be judged by their character, their conduct, and their moral integrity, not by the color of their skin. Think about how revolutionary that was. In the 1820s, he was directly challenging the racist hierarchy that defined American society. He was articulating a universal principle that our actions, our faith, and our responsibility to one another are what make us who we are. This idea wasn't just a fleeting thought. It's the core of his entire philosophy. 2. The moral compass that guided his journey to Africa. He wasn't just seeking a new home. He was on a mission to build a society where this principle could become a reality. When Lott Carey arrived in Liberia, he immediately got to work. He wasn't just a preacher. He was a nation builder. He understood that for freedom to be truly meaningful, it had to be supported by strong institutions. So, he helped establish some of the very first schools, churches, and systems of governance in the new settlement. Slave. He believed that education and spiritual development were the twin pillars of a thriving, independent society. One of his most enduring legacies is the Lott Carey Baptist Mission School in Brewerville, which still stands today as a testament to his belief that education is the ultimate pathway to leadership and dignity. He saw no difference between saving souls and educating minds. Both were essential for empowering people to take control of their own destinies. His work laid the groundwork for Liberia's religious and educational landscape, shaping the nation for generations to come. But Carey's role went far beyond the church and the classroom. He was also a civic leader and a diplomat. The early years in Liberia were incredibly challenging, marked by disease, hardship, and tense relationships between the new settlers from America and the indigenous communities who already lived there. Cary stepped into this complex situation as a voice of reason and a peacemaker. He served in government roles, helped negotiate treaties, and consistently advocated for order and self-view, understood that building a nation required more than just faith. It required justice, cooperation, and a system where everyone had a voice. Tragically, his life was cut short in 1828. During a tense period, while preparing defenses for the settlement, an accidental gunpowder explosion took his life. He was only 48 years old. But the foundations he had laid were strong, and his impact on Liberia was already irreversible. Now, let's fast forward more than a century. Jed's 1963, and Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. is standing on the steps of the Lincoln Memorial, delivering his iconic "I Have a Dream" speech. He shares his dream of a nation where his children will one day be judged, not by the color of their skin, but by the content of their character. It's a powerful, electrifying moment that captured the heart of the civil rights movement. So, the big question is, was Dr. King quoting Lott Carey? The direct answer is no. Dessert. There's no historical evidence to suggest that King was consciously pulling from Carey's specific words. But the connection is much deeper and, in many ways, more significant than a simple quote. King was tapping into a long, rich tradition of African American thought, a moral lineage that had been developing for centuries. This shared idea character over color is a powerful thread connecting Black leaders across generations. A principle rooted in Christian ethics, a fierce resistance to racial oppression, and an unwavering demand for universal human dignity. Lott Carey was one of the earliest and most prominent voices to articulate this ideal on a global stage. Dr. King, with his incredible platform, gave it a voice that could resonate around the world. So, while King didn't quote Carey directly, they were both drawing from the same deep well of Black intellectual and spiritual tradition. We're part of the same continuous struggle for a world where humanity is measured by its substance, not its surface. Carey's work in the 1820s and King's activism in the 1960s are two major milestones on the same long road to justice. This connection highlights the profound and often overlooked historical bond between African Americans and Liberia. For figures like Lott Carey, Liberia wasn't just a place to go. It was a project. An attempt to build the kind of society they dreamed of, free from the racial caste system of America. They carried with them the lessons learned from enslavement, the resilience forged in struggle, and the faith that had sustained them. Liberia became a living, breathing chapter of African American history. It was a place where the ideals of freedom, self-governance, and dignity were put to the test. Vistoria, Liberia, is filled with its own complexities and struggles, but at its core, it is intertwined with the African American experience. It's a story of hope, contradiction, and the relentless pursuit of a better future, played out on two different continents. So, in the end, who was Lott Carey? He was a bridge He was a bridge between enslavement and freedom, between America and Africa, and between the early articulations of Black liberation and the global civil rights movement to come. His unwavering belief in character over color was not just a phrase. It was the driving force of his life's work. His legacy in Liberia, through the schools and churches he helped build, demonstrates a profound commitment to Black self-determination. And his story reminds us that African American history has never been confined to the borders of the United States. It has always been global in its scope, fueled by a vision that transcends geography and time. The next time you hear Dr. King's famous words, remember the long line of thinkers, activists, and leaders like Lott Carey who helped pave the way, dreaming of that same world a century before. Thank you so much for joining me on this historical journey today. If you found this story as fascinating as I do, please hit that like button and subscribe for more deep dives into the stories that shape our world. And I'd love to hear your thoughts in the comments below. See you next time.